The life is changing swiftly.
What drew you to Shakespeare and Camus?
I also have this question. What does he want to express? 教学相长.
Here we are outside in what's becoming slowly a lot hotter Beijing, China, was it a Central University of Finance and Economics campus. I'm here with a man who identifies himself as Hesse. What about your Chinese name?
Yang Zhenshe.
Yang Zhenshe.
Yes.
What is the meaning of your Chinese name?
Maybe just meaning that one people would be brave, kind, and such as this good characters like this.
Now you've adopted the English name of Hesse, Hesse. Why?
My English name is because one of the famous writer called Hesse, who is a great writer from Germany.
This is we actually met not too far over here a couple months ago already, and what interested me or what surprised me, there's two things. Number one, your English ability. Have you lived overseas?
No, but
Okay.
I have tried some tasks such as IELTS
Right.
and GRE.
So you've never lived overseas, but your English is very good. So
Thank you.
that was impressive feature number one. Number two is that you had said you had switched from an economics major
Yes.
into a literature major.
Yes.
And you mentioned some very famous names as well, notably Shakespeare and Camus. Some very philosophical statement you said about there's money and then there's life. What drew you to Shakespeare and Camus?
It's hard to generalize. Yeah. For example, the life is changing swiftly. 1,000 years and now and in the future, that will have very big change. But sometimes the personality, the difficulties, and people need to overcome the life is always the same situation, such as in the writer, in the work of the Shakespeare, you also found that a great man named Hamlet. He is a good man and innocent, but he also have to overcome some quite difficulty, hard problem to continue their life, and he also need to burden quite responsibility. So I also found that in the modern life, people also need to face these problems. So that's the reason why I reading the books, the work of the Shakespeare. Another man named Camus, I like the writer of him because we also found some problem in the modern society, such as the mental problem, and sometimes I also found the life is meaningless. I don't know what is the best, what is the meaningful, and I usually found that the world is quite finally absurd. I can take a very easy example. In China, the students have to face a lot of problems. They also need to do, especially in studying. And they also need to pass one so many exams to study in university, to be a master, to be a doctor. They also need to have spent 10 years and more. But after graduation, they found that, the lessons, the knowledge I have got is quite far from the society. And sometimes we found that the knowledge is meaningless, is useless.
What sort of knowledge would be meaningless? Because a lot of my students, they're going to be accountants.
I have graduated from the Central University and I have got the economic degree. So I found that the modern society, the modern market is quite far from the knowledge. I know that if I use this knowledge, it's an absurd thing.
So, and you mentioned that history changes with 1,000 years before and then 1,000 years in the future. Now, your country and your culture spans many thousands of years. Does what happened 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, affect what people study today?
My country have very, very long culture and history. In one side, the long history, the long culture, in fact, the daily people, they called them that they need to work hard, Yeah, the working hard is one of the significant factor for Chinese man. In another way, we also have to think that if a country have very long culture, it means there's less change. Yeah, more and more people would like to rely on tradition, would rely on the old thinking. So sometimes you will find that it's hard to change. It's hard to from the formal to the latter. And some people would think that the changing is difficult, is full of risks. So I think that the long culture have the benefits and also have some drawbacks. In fact,
in terms of literature, I know because as a student of the Chinese language, I have tried to read. Currently, I study the HSK, the Hanyu Suiping Kaoshi, that series. And the literature and the works that we read in there are very different from the Gudai Zhongwen.
Yeah.
So, and I ask my students, like, have you read Kongzi? Have you read Lao Tzu? Do those works of literature still influence what people read and think today in terms of what they read when they are taking an accountancy course, when they're studying finance, especially modern finance?
It's a very good and difficult problem. There are
Isn't it?
There are many professors, as I know, such as in Beijing University, the Renmin University of China. Many professors are thinking and doing such quite research about this problem. From my perspective, I think that such as the laws, the Kongzi, they also have set a rule, a tradition, which can affect the modern people, the modern thinking. For example, as far as I'm concerned, I think that if you feel you're tired, you don't have any good resolution to overcome your problem, you can seek some answers from the laws. Yeah, the laws have a good idea is that something people can not finish by themselves is also controlled by the life and also other fate. Yeah, according to the the European history also pay attention to the fate, such as the great myths.
I'm curious, and I think a lot of people would want to know: is Sunzi taught here at Caijing Daxue and other finance universities? Because Sun Tzu, as he's known in Western speech, he's very famous for being cited and quoted for being a very good investment inspiration, because it's all about war, it's all about knowing your enemy, and usually the enemy is within, sort of thing. You have to know yourself. Is he taught at all in finance and economics here in China?
From my knowledge, I know that the Sunzi is complex.
Very. I tried to read it, but I was like...
an elaborate book. It more pay attention to the abstract idea. Like the Sunzi is not paying attention to the exact how to control the war, how to rule the armies. It's more pay attention to the ideas, the abstract, the word, such as the religion. Yeah, that they would say. The life is like the water.
Right.
Yeah, the army is like the trees. Yeah, the action is like the wind. Yeah, some people would say, what's the meaning? What do you want to express?
So wait a minute. So modern Chinese people would equally be confused by going, okay, trees, water, what's going on?
Yeah, some modern people also feel confused. What's the meaning? What do he want to express? And I first read the book. I also have this question: what does he want to express? Yeah, but now, after many years of studying, I know that they may mean the Chinese man also like to use the example, use the abstract thing, the wind, the trees, to express his ideas, such as the army is like trees, means that they also need to be complete. They also, like the wind, they act swiftly, like wind, the swift, the quick, yeah, and so on.
And water?
The water means that and they can follow the rules. They can follow the rules. They usually be loyal to the center of the army like this, the water.
Right. So, and now you're reading Shakespeare, Camus, a lot of Western literature. When did you sort of realize or see it and kind of go, I'd like to learn more about Western literature rather than more Chinese literature? Sorry, I shouldn't say rather than. In addition to, or to continue your studies studying Western literature a little bit more?
Yeah, I chose to study Western literature. For me, there are two main factors. Firstly, in China, some university really likes the people, the teacher who pay attention to the Western literature, and many professors they pay attention to the Chinese literature and some old literature like the Mengzi Kongzi. But for the Western literature, it lacks people. The people is a little than the formal. So for me, I also have a dream. I want to get the doctorate degree, and if in the future I can teach Western literature in the university. For me, I want to introduce some also good famous the literature, the treasure to the later generation of Chinese people. That's one of the factors. The second factor may be that the modern society, we have some questions, and we also living in hard situation. But in wider literature, you can find some solution. You can find some people which are in the same trouble. But in the Chinese literature may pay more attention to the art rather than the thinking. Yeah. So for me, I'm more interested in the thinking, the philosophy, rather than the art.
We've talked a lot about Sunzi, his meanings, he writes about trees and water, but his meaning is something else.
Yeah.
We've also mentioned Shakespeare and Camus. I think Shakespeare is a little bit more direct. If he said trees, he would mean trees. Camus, though, I think he doesn't do that. If he would to refer to something, he would have it'd be more symbolic. Have you seen that, or am I? Tell me, because I haven't read these very much.
I think this question mainly rely on the work, such as the fiction. They have many meanings, but for the art, for the comedy and the tragedy from the Shakespeare, they usually have one exact meaning. That rely on the work, not just about the Western or Chinese. I remember that in the last century, a famous philosophy and art named Lander, an Englishman. He usually told the idea that the author is dead. Why the author is dead? Because that most of the work, most of the fiction has quite a lot of meaning. Yeah, some meaning sometimes is quite opposite. Yeah, one say that is to the east, another meaning maybe to the west.
That's not because of us. There's an airport just over there.
Yeah, at that time, the author is dead, and the most important is the reader. The reader can get their ideas, can get their thinkings from only one book. Yeah, sometimes people would say there are too many readers and too many Hamlet.
Very interesting. So recently, with the development of technology, we now see AI and large language models. I kind of have this idea that the next bonus, the value-added feature, that when you buy an ebook or any book, you are going to receive a chatbot, a large language model with the book. And it will have all of the works of that author. And you will be able to chat with the author after you buy the ebook. Do you think that's possible? Would that be a good idea? I mean, would that be at all sensible?
It's also a hard question. Yeah.
Well, imagine like if I bought a copy of Sunzi, and then with it I got a copy of DeepSeek Chat with Sunzi. Could I rely on what that chatbot is saying about the strategies and everything?
As far as I'm concerned, when people read a book, it also means when people watch the mirror. Yeah, the mirror reflects the man. Yeah, if you read a book, you can get your thinking from the book. Yeah, DeepSeek and other AI can help you understand the meaning of the book, can help you get the ideas. But in fact, many people would choose to read a book by themselves rather than other AI. Maybe they are helpful. They also need to get the idea from book by themselves. And during this experience, they also find themselves. So from that, the AI is just a helpful hand. It's just a software application from your smartphone. But for the true idea, the meaning, you also need to read by yourselves. It's much more important.
What would you say is does China have the equivalent of a Shakespeare or a Camus?
Pardon?
Does China, its current literature, does it have an equivalent of Shakespeare or Camus?
Yes. In fact, there are too many ideas and there's thing. You can just check the website and find that it's quite. The Shakespeare, the Camus is too famous, and I think that not only in China but also in Japan and other countries, they are too famous.
What about a Chinese author who would be similar to Shakespeare or Camus? Do Chinese people write like that at all, or do they have a different writing style?
The interaction and they need to switch the English, the French to the Chinese is also another experience of writing. Yeah, using another language is also a kind of writing. So, for different Chinese writers, they switch the language, so they also experience writing work. So that may be my answer. It's hard to generalize. It's hard to get it.
All right, we've talked about ancient literature. We've talked about Middle Ages, English or Western literature. What are some books that you're reading these days? Chinese or English or whatever language.
Seriously, just this month, I seldom read a book because near the end of this
You're
term,
busy.
Yeah, I need to finish my homework. Yeah, and I also need to prepare for the final exam of this term. But in my free time, I also read some books written by Chinese language. Written English language. In one hand, I found I need a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also need to have a lot of energy.
So you actually read them in English?
If I have more free time, I would choose to. But now I'm really a little busy.
How long would you say it takes you? How long does it take you to read an English book?
It depends on different kind of books. For some books which are easy to read, such as The Old Man and the Sea, written by Hemingway, I would just need 2 weeks to finish reading in English. But for some very hard literature, complex, especially very hard book, I may need to have 1 month or 2 months to finish reading it. Yeah, sometimes they are hard to understand. If they translate into Chinese language, I may not understand completely. However, in English language, I may need to have more and more time to understand it.
But at least you can read a book in 2 months. I don't think I can. I don't think I've ever finished a book in 2 months or 3 months, even in English.
Yeah, it depends on your interest. Yeah, just the beginning of this year, the January and February, I have read 2 books written by Sartre. Yeah, the French writer Sartre. 2 books in 2 months.
Wow.
And in English, I found it's not too hard.
Any Chinese authors you would recommend for people to read these days?
Lu Xun is very important, and his work can sometimes represent modern people. Yeah, the Lu Xun and Wang Xiaobo. Yeah, Xiaobo Wang. He's
Wang Xiaobo.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wang Xiaobo and Mo Yan. He just got the Nobel Prize. His work is also good, but sometimes it's a little hard to understand.
I try to read Life and Death Are Wearing Me Out. That I don't know what the English translation is, but it was about where he gets reincarnated over and over again.
Yeah, it's like a circle.
Yes, it was too much for me. I was like, why is this happening? This is too much. I know I was reading in English, so I mean, I understand a lot of people like Mo Yan.
Yeah, the Mo Yan likes the Marcus very. The Marcus has a very famous work named Lonely. 100 Years of Lonely. Yeah, 1 century of lonely. In Chinese mean 百年孤独. Yeah.
百年孤独.
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 Yeah, the Mo Yan have learned some skills, ideas from this book, so they also try to introduce a circle and a circle over and over again. Mm-hmm. It's magical and sometimes it's crazy. Yeah, but it's also a brave try.
We have to break very soon because we both have class at 2 o'clock. Yeah. Last question. You said you want to be a professor in the future. What type of professor do you think you will be? What will be your teaching style?
If possible, I want to teach the history of literature. I think that is quite interesting. And I hope that in the future my students would like my lesson and they can get some good ideas. Maybe just hear some interesting, funny stories, I think is enough.
Will you be one of these professors that wants the students to be active and asking questions, or are you okay with them just listening to you speak?
I hope in the future my students can ask me some questions. Not only the easy, but also the hard. I think that is all okay. In Chinese, there is an old saying that the teacher and the students, they help each other during the experience. They help each other.
What's the Chinese for that?
教学相长.
教学
相长.
相长.
It means that the students get knowledge and skills from their teacher, and the teacher also knows some good characters, some knowledge from their students. In sometimes they are equal. They help each other.
A win-win situation.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, then we have to end it there because we both have class. Thank you very much for taking the time.
And I also need to have a small break.
Thank you very much. See
Goodbye.
you. All right, well, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that little talk, a little insight into some Chinese literature and, of course, Western literature as well. Drop a comment. What are you guys reading these days, whether it's in English, Chinese, French, German, or whatever? What has you guys turning the pages, e-pages? And do you think AI, that whole chatting with the author idea, is that a good idea or not? Let me know. I'd be interested to hear it. And hopefully we can compile a little bit of a summer reading list, or even just a reading list in general of some good books, whether it's from English literature or wherever, for the rest of us. All right, folks, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. We'll do this again. Have a good one. Bye-bye.